Welcome back. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Joining us now to discuss the situation in Minnesota, we have Kyle Shideler, Director and Senior Analyst for Homeland Security and Counterterrorism at the Center for Security Policy. He's also the editor of the book Unmasking Antifa, 5 Perspectives on a Growing Threat. Kyle, thank you so much for joining us. Good to have you back with us. Now, White House Border Czar Tom Homan saying today he's ordered the eventual drawdown of federal law enforcement in Minnesota, adding that's contingent on cooperation from local officials. How soon could we see that drawdown if the cooperation plays out?
Well, I wouldn't get ahead of myself, and I wouldn't expect there to be much agreement between Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Minneapolis Mayor Frey, and the federal government here. The resistance to enforcing federal immigration law in Minneapolis is fierce, and they know that these protesters will turn on them if they appear to be making an agreement with the Trump administration. I think I certainly understand Homan's position. They are looking to accomplish their mission while hopefully turning down the temperature a little bit, but that's not entirely up to them. Unfortunately, that's going to be largely up to the agitators in the streets, and they see no reason at this point to back down. The rhetoric that I see from social media accounts in this space, some of these are hardcore anarchist accounts, revolutionary leftists, and they think they are winning. The language that they use is that this is a win for them, that they are winning in Minneapolis, and so I think that's going to be very concerning for the Trump administration. It's going to be a challenge. So the trick will be, can Homan carry out his mission successfully while turning down the rhetoric and the temperature.
And right now, there is a lot of attention on this clip from the news movement, appearing to show Alex Preddy days before his death. Let's actually play that now.
This is a moment the news movement filmed on January 13th in Minneapolis, showing a man who appears to be Alex Preddy interacting with federal immigration agents 11 days before Border Patrol shot and killed him. Our footage was analyzed by the BBC, whose facial recognition technology confirmed his identity to a 97% degree of accuracy.
And your thoughts on what you just saw there?
Well, I think what you're clearly seeing is a very deliberate attempt to provoke law enforcement in order to get the kind of response that they in fact get in that clip. And then later on, we learn, unfortunately, he attempts to do that again and gets another reaction. Now we're going to figure out exactly whether that was a good shoot from federal law enforcement as that investigation proceeds. But this is the danger. You have agitators who are well trained at provoking law enforcement, provoking individuals, and they're trying to get these types of video clips out there so that they can push their message through propaganda to try to achieve a political win, right? And we often underestimate just how challenging it is to deal with these very professional agitators. I've talked to law enforcement officers who will tell you, I have never been called the kinds of things that these people called me. I have never been provoked in this way in, 15, 20 years as a law enforcement officer. And we see that time and time again. And watching from the outside, from a shaky handheld camera, it's very easy for us to say what we think we would have done in the law enforcement circumstances. But the reality is that these are very, very challenging circumstances.
Now, Tom Homan actually worked under the Obama administration, overseeing its 432,000 deportations in 2013. That was the highest since records were kept, because deportations under Trump 1.0 never topped 350,000. And Obama even awarded Homan the Presidential Rank Award in 2015. What do you think changed since then that now we're seeing such widespread anti-ICE demonstrations and that rhetoric?
Well, I think it really has largely to do with the growing power of the revolutionary left in the United States. This is post George Floyd. It is post October 7th encampment protests, where the revolutionary left grew a great deal of strength. They challenged the Biden administration during the primaries. They put a great deal of pressure on the Democratic Party during that process. They are feeling their oats. They feel like now is the time to challenge the United States government, whether it's Democrat or Republican. They really don't care. What they are interested in is conflict with the United States government. And I think we're seeing elements of that here. Unfortunately, they've been very successful at duping a large number of people into thinking that this is actually about immigration enforcement. And as you rightly point out, this was not an issue for Barack Obama. It was not an issue for President Joe Biden, which really suggests to us that it's really not about immigration at all.
And on Capitol Hill, Democrats are demanding an overhaul of immigration enforcement as a partial government funding shutdown is looming. Now, reports say it involves limiting arrest warrants, a ban on masks for federal agents, and requiring body cameras. Are you concerned about the changes being proposed here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that has to be a non-starter for the Trump administration and his Republican allies in Congress. They're just never going to go for it. And it's frankly problematic that you have members of the Democratic Party, senior leadership, buying into this notion of treating ICE law enforcement officers like they're some kind of secret police, when the reality is that they're only wearing masks so that they themselves are not doxxed and that their family and their children are not harassed, as is taking place all throughout the country when you have leaks of officers who are working for ICE being harassed. You have the percentage of attacks on ICE officers going through the roof now. So they have very legitimate security concerns, and that's all being swept aside by some of the rhetoric here.
Well, Kyle Shideler, as always, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.